Well, I'm here to do my review of step number 2 of the 67 steps. This one was a long one. This one was about an hour and 15 minutes, and rather than just sit here and say verbatim what Ty said in the lecture for an hour and 15 minutes, it'd be much more beneficial to you and I, and for the sake of brevity, to condense it down into about 5 minutes and just get to the heart and the bullet points of this main idea. This lesson was called Blue-Footed Booby Birds, ESS, and the 500-year-old mind, the adaptability to survive. And this whole lesson was, again, similar to the first one, all along the lines of the subtitle, how you and I need to become more highly adaptive in life. And we're introduced to the idea of adaptation when we relearn about Charles Darwin and his voyage to the Galapagos Islands in the early 1800s on the USS Beagle. Charles Darwin was a naturalist who in that expedition collected a series of specimens from each of the islands that he visited, and he noticed that when he collected a bunch of finches that their beaks were shaped differently depending on which island they inhabited. And Darwin's conclusion was, that he later noted in his book On the Origin of Species, was these birds must have evolved over thousands of years to the changing conditions of that particular ecosystem on those islands. The problem with that is that you and I don't have thousands of years to evolve. We have 80 or 90 years at best. And the speed with which you can adapt is the speed in which you'll receive everything you want in life. Another problem with this idea of adaptation is that a lot of us have learned to not adapt. How many times have you stayed in a job or relationship or a friendship too long when the signs to pivot were so obvious? We learn about humans adapting when we learn about the Sherpas in the Himalayan mountains that have evolved over generations and generations to live at extremely high altitudes. Again, the problem with this is that we don't have many generations to adapt, so we have to adapt quickly when the signs are very obvious. We have to learn to read the signs. We learn about something called the 500-year-old mind, which is all about how we often don't challenge common thoughts of the day. One example where people began to challenge ideas hundreds of years ago was questioning whether the earth was in fact flat or round. Some people that originally questioned this idea that the earth was flat were burnt at the stake, but fortunately people pushed through and discovered new continents. An example of someone that was extremely highly adaptable in our recent history was this guy right here, Sam Walton of Walmart, who through creating Walmart created $160 billion through his company, $160,000 million. And one friend of Sam's at his funeral explained in the eulogy that he believes Sam was so successful because he said, "I've never met someone that was less afraid of being wrong." Sam would just brush it off and move on. So we need to become adaptability machines, because very few things are black and white, either exclusively this or exclusively that and good for everybody. And referring to diet, people a lot of times say you should be vegan, or you should be carnivorous, or you should do paleo, or you should do the Atkins diet. Although according to Dr. Cheryl Molam, best-selling author, the best diet is the one that's adapted to your body type, because everybody's body's different and everybody's body responds differently to different types of foods. We then move on to learning about something called ESS, which is, this is my first time ever hearing of this, but it's called Evolutionary Stable Strategies. And it's the idea that we'll often need to cut deals with other things, ourselves and other organizations. We have to kind of compromise so that both parties can perpetuate. And one idea of this is the Thai reference is cows eating grass. cows eat the grass to survive, but they temporarily damage the grass by shortening it. However, the stable strategy comes from the fact that the cows have something in their saliva that goes onto the cut grass that helps it regrow. So the ESS idea is all about stability, because you don't want to over-adapt, because it's not necessarily about perfectionist, it's about awareness that creates change when necessary. And as Peter Drucker explains, you have to be quick but not in a hurry, because many adaptations take up to 18 months before you really see any momentum. And I'm already over the 5-minute mark, but just like the first lesson, this lecture requires you to answer a series of questions to unlock the next lesson. And this first question was, what is the number one area in your life that you haven't been highly adaptable enough in? Second question is, what relationship should you go deeper into? And what relationship should you move away from? And the third question is, what's keeping you from being fulfilled, and what could you change for a better outcome? Thanks for watching this, and see you on the next video.